Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our Victoria 3 run here as the United Kingdom. Last episode we subjugated the Heavenly Kingdom for under 20 infamy. They are our protectorate now, and we won the great game against Russia. This episode, what we will be doing is we are going to be slapping around France a little bit because they decided they wanted to be somebody. I think that they decided to do this because it's a split state with which they have a incorporated state, but for the most part, no one has sided against us in a single play for like forever now. We're going to be liberating Algeria and Occitania. Algeria is pretty big here, and we want another power with which that we could go against, and Occitania might be able to get France into being a major power or minor power, at which point we're going to try and power block subjugate them, which we have done so far to Ukraine over here, as well as Ural. We have subjugated them through this mechanic, and so we're keen on being able to do it again, and so if we could decay them down, this would be great. We also want to do this on Spain. The reason why we cannot pull Spain into our power block anymore is actually because we went on to state religion. Now they have discriminated by state religion, so we're going to be rolling back to freedom of conscience. We're going to try and also balance, and maybe we focus a little bit on this episode, we're going to try and balance these 5 interest groups, and we're going to try and make it so that all 5 are powerful simultaneously, which is going to require some bolsters and suppresses in order to get done, as well as manipulating clout via generals. But this will lead to a pretty good outcome for us if we can get these guys happy and get their bonuses doubled. Now, in order to help facilitate that, we have actually been, over the course of time, you may have noticed the construction really hasn't been going up that much. We have been slowly bringing down taxes. I think that the turmoil that you get from radicals is pretty substantive. Our radicalism has been coming down as we've been doing this. Our approval malices have been coming down, especially as we've passed stuff that people have liked. And so, generally speaking, I think we're going to look to rake this back for the most part, rather than increasing construction, because if you are, if you're constructing, being able to buy a bunch of extra construction isn't very useful if it's going to be going into a bunch of states with state construction efficiency malices. And the main reason we wanted to absolutely blast high taxes in the first place was because people were bankrolling us, and so it gives you more free money from the bankroll if you blast high taxes. But seeing as we're not receiving a bankroll right now, we'd rather play for this. And as you can tell, our SOL has been climbing pretty steadily since we've been making these sorts of adjustments. And so we're going to continue to adjust in this way, and we're going to continue to do what Charles Dickens would have wanted, what the ghost of Charles Dickens past would have wanted, which is, of course, just kind of annex every unrecognized power that we can possible. This is what we've been doing over the course of several episodes, as you can tell, and this is what we will continue to do because it basically costs us 0 infamy to do this. We have been low infamy this entire time, and we're just map painting, and then eventually we'll obsolete colonial offices in terms of usefulness. If we have subjugated every single unrecognized power on the map or conquered them, then really not that useful. We're probably going to release some of these states over here, especially places like Kalat, which are going to, they're a subject of ours right now. If we annex them as a subject, it'll give us a huge malice towards them, but if we annex them just kind of regularly, we won't receive a huge malice. And so what we might be doing is looking to release places like Kalat and Kandahar and just annex them kind of all natural, as it were, as a means of kind of keeping the train rolling, because it's going to be one war versus these guys no matter what for the world conquest attempt. And so it doesn't really matter if we are getting this in terms of timing. I think it makes sense to just stay low infamy, go after unrecognized powers, release these guys to annex them, then eventually annexing them later when we are going high infamy and we don't care about infamy, which is going to be when we start annexing our subjects. So releasing them, I think, makes a little bit of sense. We are starting to get spread just a little bit thin here. We're pushing in on France. We're resolving this war for the most part. We have to deal with this in the East India Company. We have several uprisings, and we are also going after Manchuria here. As soon as this pops versus is Shanti. We'll probably also declare another war. So kind of a lot going on here. I'm pretty sure we have enough troops. It's just a matter of maneuvering them all. We have like 1,000 battalions close to. Let's kind of pull up our information. We have 900 battalions, which is more than enough power to do all this stuff, but we need to organize our guys better. Although, to be fair, we have a ton of different armies now dedicated towards, having kind of dynamic armies spread all over the map, which is going to help out. Oh yeah, we also have the Dutch revolt, but they're going to handle that just fine though. But what we are doing is we're preparing for an eventual total war situation. Not that we think it's coming soon, but this is definitely not optimal in terms of we probably shouldn't be running this big an army, at this point. Instead, we should be paying for construction. But I think doing this is going to make it a little bit more smooth a transition, and it's also pretty nice for a time like this where we kind of have a lot going on, and this East India Company aristocratic revolt is pretty big. Hopefully, after this revolt, they are looking at us a little bit better. Aloof is a little bit better than what they've had, and right now their Liberty Desire should tank very, very quickly. It's coming down 0.2 kind of a tick, because they are not very powerful right now, and maybe we can get them to pass stuff. Also, when they destroy this rev, they're going to be passing homesteading, and maybe, just maybe, we can get them to pass some useful laws, like getting off of autocracy, and maybe getting off of migration controls, which is kind of the big one for us. We won't ask that they pass it right now, because they're working on something we kind of like, which is the homesteading. We'd put in a bunch of trade routes with the newly released Occitania and get a trade agreement pretty straight away. France might stay antagonistic, but as long as they kind of have their own power block, we don't really want a piece of them anyways. And so we're going to go after seeing if we can get Occitania maybe as some sort of subject. So we're going to start funding their lobbies. We have the ticking positive relations with them from the trade agreement, which they will most assuredly accept. And then once they accept that, we will also be getting lobbies or potential lobbies from them with kind of a fresh slate, because they don't have any lobbies to begin with. And so hopefully this sets us up in a good position to acquire a whole bunch of leverage over them. This is current leverage, this is where it's trending, and hopefully we can improve that. It's only going to take us 17.5 infamy to protectorate Japan, which, to be fair, it is hitting the max multiplier of x50, so it's the exact same that we paid for subjugating China. So we just got the diplomatic victory achievement, which is a pretty easy achievement to achieve when there's only one other great power. Every other great power has a pro-country lobby in it. You don't say. Of course, we just had the precipitous, or what created that was that France just decayed down to being a major power, which they will kind of sit in. Unfortunately, they still have their power block, because you can make those with a major power. It seems like major powers don't create power blocks, but they'll just keep them, and we're still waiting on freedom of conscience to pass to maybe be able to get a stranglehold over either Italy and or Spain and or Occitania when that happens, so we can try and subjugate these guys. Those will probably be the last ones we can subjugate in this way. I don't think the USA is going to break down, although we could just break them down, right? We have the front, we can rebuild them, and by rebuild them I mean break them down. I'm not really sure, but I think our port connections might be bugged. This seems like way too many port connections, and we've been spamming, pretty aggressively the amount of ports that we have over the course of the game, but this is just like so much. I'm wondering if this is a bug or what exactly is going on, but this is like not tenable, and there's also not much of a solution, because it's not like we could be saved by either trade routes or supply routes, because those will only cover 3k. Somehow we have 80k in port connections, and I just don't think that that's reflecting like what's going on. I guess maybe by us including Japan, is that really what's doing this? The inclusion of Japan just like super bricked, or the Japan War's not even over. Oh, the Japan War's, it was over, it's just bugged out. Is it really just the inclusion of this that's creating massive port connections? I mean, okay, well, we'll be building some more ports, or at least trying to. Okay, so I think we're actually going to stop going ahead of time and pull off of Zeppelins, at least for a little bit, and instead we are going to start researching trench works, because it's not even really ahead of time, and this tech is going to be, it's always a strong one, and mainly because we wanted to come on off of advanced research, and I think we're actually going to try foreign investment. We haven't tried this block before, but we have 3 people who we want to kind of, over the short term, pull into our customs union, or not a customs union, pull into our block, and so we're going to slot that out because we want to generate additional leverage over someone like Spain and get additional leverage from them being us having a large amount of economic dependence. And so now it's, I wish we took a look at it what it was before, but now it's 589 in terms of where it's trending, and it's trending towards plus 166. So that should be pretty good for us. We can build more in their country in order to try and push that in the same way. And Occitania, we are trending towards plus 280, so we will be able to pull them into our block. And then finally, Italy, I very much doubt we could pull in Italy in this way, but we don't even have an investment agreement. However, we could get one. We could get one in exchange for an obligation. I think, well, we're already friendly, and we're kind of leaning into this right now, so maybe we do the investing right now. The problem is we really don't want to push Italy up into being a great power, and they're somewhat close, and so this is a little bit spooky, and I think we could definitely get Spain and Occitania into the government now. We will, by the way, come off of foreign investment once we get these guys in, so this is, again, a kind of temporary measure type thing. But yeah, we'll just be building in these guys and trying to pull them in and maybe try and figure out a way to do Italy. I mean, if we get mutual investment rights, that's probably fine enough, right? I just wish there was a better way for us to try and get this, but we already are funding lobbies. We're already... Oh, I guess we could start bankrolling them. Maybe we get an obligation, and then we use the obligation to get the investment agreement. Alright, seeing as how convoys are becoming a bit of a problem, we're actually going to slot in a company I've never used before. And it's one that's on theme. We are going to slot in a British company that gives 10% convoys and also 5% prestige. Both of these are pretty valuable for us right now for what we're trying to do. And so while we would lose out on just raw economic power because, okay, we're not getting the 5% construction bonus anymore, what we will hope to gain here is the convoys, obviously, which is going to bring us up to maybe more than enough convoys here, but we're also producing a bunch of convoys. I'm not sure what it... Maybe we lost a timed modifier, and that's what took us to the minus 10k, and that's why we just noticed it very abruptly, but we were fighting wars with a bunch of armies overseas and never having a problem, and then wham, we got hit with it. So we'll put that in. To be fair, when we start building tall in places like Shaanxi, this is going to create a problem because all this stuff has to ship back to the home counties. But this is also where our labor is, so it's a little bit rough. Maybe we take these off auto-expand, and we hope to get a little bit more done in terms of migration, but this is just such a strong state to build in, I don't know what to do. Well, maybe we just don't build the heavy machinery stuff, huh? And just kind of do some of this. In any case, I think that this company will be at the very least interesting. It's certainly on theme, and the prestige is also going to be nice because the prestige will help us to raise the average prestige in addition to annexing small little powers, because we really want to go after Turkey. Now Turkey's getting a little naughty, but their prestige is kind of low, so they're trending towards unrecognized regional power, who we can subjugate pretty quickly. However, Turkey's about to get a little bit bigger because they're going for Russia, and Russia's fearful. Don't think I've ever seen a Turkey be this successful, but to be fair, Russia's kind of gimped, so it is what it is. But we will continue to go after, you know, small ball, little powers, and taking out these small powers will also help to decay Turkey down to being an unrecognized regional power where we can go after them for like 15 infamy or 17 infamy, kind of the same as we went after Japan and the Heavenly Kingdom. And so that'll be pretty nice, and also that'll help with the convoys because one of the reasons we can't, go through Sinai all the way over to China is because we're getting broken up right here with Turkey. Like, if we had Basra or just Baghdad, we would have a lot less convoy requirement, and so just taking Turkey alone should actually make our life quite a bit easier, and so we're going to be going after them, or getting them into as being a subject, because then we only have to come here for the land sea node up into Albania, and then we can... Oh, wait, I forget. This is, like, so silly that this requires a C node from here to here, but we will connect over here, maybe in Ayadin, will be our port connection that transfers all the way over to China. So hopefully that'll be a little bit better for us. So this is a little bit of a dirty move. We actually want Turkey, because Turkey's unrecognized and we're going to subjugate them for super cheap. We actually want them to win the war against Russia, and so we're going to declare on one of Russia's subjects here, which is going to force us into a conflict with Russia. Now, we will not put too much stuff in on Russia. Instead, we just want to try and gum up the fronts so that Russia will lose very, very easily to Turkey. This is the main idea. We don't need to take stuff because we're just effectively facilitating Turkey taking stuff. I don't think we're going to put anything in that isn't primary specifically, although we might want to... Oh, can we not even... Russia, you're a minor power. We can't even humiliate you. Big feels bad. So we can now invite in Occitania. We had built a whole bunch of wine in their country. We chose wine because they have a wine company, and so it would build extra fast. We also built out the wood. Spain is already pretty caked up, but to be honest, their economy has grown a lot from us contributing to them, but right now we have a predicted leverage of 216, which is over the 200 required, and so that's moving in the right direction. Italy, we don't yet have an investment agreement with, but that's kind of fine because we're trying to work to resolve this bureaucracy deficit, and so I think that resolving this is a higher priority than building stuff to get Italy into our bloc, but this is the current state of affairs of the bloc. The sun really never sets on the British Empire here. We're expanding quite large. From Russia, we put in some war goals for conquer Kathiri, liberate Tungus, Big Tungus, who will be liberated right there, which will allow us to go for this unrecognized power as well that we had previously liberated, because Ural's not unrecognized. They're also a subject of ours. We need to reduce autonomy on them, and we're also revoking the claim on Uralisk so we can colonize here, and then we also have war reparations in Finland liberation. We're hoping that Sweden maybe goes for going after unification on this major unification, if it's possible. I'm not sure if they're bricked out of it by virtue of being a minor power and being a subject, but if not, we would prefer that they form Sweden, even though we are their overlord. So things are progressing quite well. We hope that we don't get these occupations, because Turkey is now pushing again after getting pushed back, but this is not what we want. We actually don't want this many occupations. We want Turkey to be the one occupying, and so maybe what we do is we put some of these guys on defend front, because we actually don't want to be advancing that quickly. So maybe we put a few guys on defend front. We do want people pillaging in particular, because pillage is going to be quite strong for us, and we can put an adamant defense. Yeah, this works, because pillage will create devastation, which will make it so that we get mass migrations, and so we're siphoning off pops in this way. Really coming up on the pops. We have an enormous chunk of the world's population under our control, considering Heavenly Kingdom's our subject, British East Indies is our subject, and then the next biggest pop is 45 million, so we pretty much have it. Hey yo, let's go. Ottomans managed to land Russia's capital. This would not be possible if Russia didn't have so many troops tied up with us, but seeing as they landed the capital, we were worried because they stopped pushing over here. I guess they decided that they couldn't get what they wanted without going for the capital, and so they changed up their strategy or something, but now they're going to start getting ticked down. And is that just a capitulation off of Russia? Just like immediately? Yeah, Russia... Oh no, that wasn't a capitulation. That was a dirty peace deal. This was supposed to go over. Oh well. Did they trade that back? Not like this. Oh well, we'll enforce what we have in on Russia pretty quick here. We'll probably set the rest of these guys to rapid advance and just look to push through. We have this as the strategic objective. We should be able to push through pretty quick and resolve this. We also, let's keep an eye on, yeah, are they a major? And they're going to stay a major, it looks like. So we need to either generate more prestige or knock out lower rung powers in order to make it harder and harder for them to be a major, because we need them to... Oh, wait, no, wait. They'll become a regional if they stick down here. But I think even still, we won't go for them right away, because I think we are releasing another power. Maybe we want to go after a few smaller powers. That way we have a little bit more buffer, because if mid-war they get upgraded to major power, then we're in trouble because it'll break our war goal. Alright, second time's the charm here. We're going to try and pull Spain into our block now. This foreign investment one is actually just kind of really neat on just a very short-term basis, because if you're close, it being able to push you over the edge of being able to gain enough like leverage, like we're barely over 200, is really, really nice. So we're just going to do this, and of course, streamer luck, we're obviously going to get it. Big dealsies, easy peasy. Easy peasy. Yeah, there we go. The block thickens. And also, once we get this, we could, of course, rake back some of the stuff that we are doing. Like, we want to keep in the trade agreement and the investment agreement. We don't want to really break this because we don't want them to be pissed, but we could probably stop bankrolling and stop doing the lobbies in both them and Occitania. I think that what we have going will probably be sufficient, and in this way we can decay down some infamy faster, and we can kind of turn our attention a little bit more towards Italy, mamma mia, where let's take a look at our power block current status. So currently they have a huge leverage advantage, but we also don't have any foreign investment there. We are still resolving this issue of the bureaucracy, but I think once that's solved, we will grab some foreign investment and start building up in Italy. So in Italy, we are building a whole ton of grain and also vineyards, because this is what they have companies for. We're also building a couple railroads, and then we are also going to just max out their fish everywhere. And we're kicking all this to the front of the queue because we want to make sure that we kind of finish this quickly, because we do want to slot off of the economic imperialism thing, and so we only want it just as long as we need it, because otherwise it's not really, other than generating leverage, it's not going to be too useful. And this is going to be the last person we try and subjugate. In theory, we could try and like decay down France or decay down the USA, or even improve relations with Russia enough to make something happen, but I don't think that this is going to work. I think that the Spain, Occitania, and Italy are going to be the last ones we bring in addition to Ukraine and Ural, and that in 5 years' time we look to subjugate them using the interaction, and then we maybe even just swap off of Sovereign Empire and go high infamy. Something like this, I think, is the plan. But we are going to see, hopefully, that this leverage just skyrocket from 284, which is the current position. And then as we finish all of this economic stuff, hopefully it goes up. We are also notably importing, we put in import routes, even though they're not profitable, for fish, wine, wheat, everything that we're producing in them, we have put in import routes for, and we also put in export routes for stuff that they are going to utilize in order to make these happen. So we are importing sulfur as well. So, for example, we're exporting coal to them, we're going to export tools to them, we're going to export steamers to them, which is going to increase their dependency on our economy, because we are giving both imports and exports by huge amounts, in addition to owning a whole bunch of the buildings, really big percentage of the buildings. Why don't we actually take a look at that right now? So let's look at GDP ownership percentage. This is our ownership percentage of stuff around the globe. You can see that we have quite a bit of stuff in the USA, for example. We have quite a bit of Spain's, GDP. We have like over 50% in Castile. We have nothing in Italy right now. We don't even have that much over here. We have a good amount in Ukraine, owning over 50% of the GDP in a lot of spots, actually kind of all their territory, which is how we managed to incorporate them. And you can see a lot of the areas we own, we have monstrous shares of the GDP. They're currently revving. They are our dominion in China. We also took out Yunnan, so things are looking pretty good. Wow, Africa is so green. Look at that. We've conquered like all of it. Okay, so one problem we have in trying to just kind of max out what they have going on here and also trade with them a whole bunch in terms of Italy is we don't have enough convoys. Here's the GDP ownership though. We are starting to take a pretty big chunk. We have around a quarter in a lot of these places, at least over 10% or around 10% in a lot of them. But what we're going to be going for is we are going to be going for concrete dockyards. That way we can get more convoys, and with the additional convoys, we should be able to do bigger volume of trade with them, which is going to make it so that the places that we built won't be hemorrhaging value here. You see, this is some of the wheat farm we built, and of course we're causing rampant unemployment here, but what we can do is with these wheat farms is we can get these things going much better if we could do a larger volume of trade. We'll also import fruit and sugar from them, but the same goes for wine. We also depress the price of wine pretty low, but the only reason we can't import more from them is because we don't have enough convoys, so we're working to get some more convoys. So we're thinking that the skyscraper we just constructed, giving us trade route volume, is also going to help out quite a bit. We just clicked the button over, so I think that if we take a look at our trade routes and we sort by country, and we see this, we have a total of around 18k volume. And let's see how this goes up. Hopefully us clicking the button didn't immediately adjust it and we have to wait for the Monday after. But this 18k total volume, we haven't actually taken a look at this before. Game does need to think a little bit. No change. I wonder if it updated just based on us clicking the button. Well, okay. In either case, we also built a ton of consumer goods here or level 1 consumer goods of everything here in Italy. Game's chugging along quite a bit because we're trying to trade, and I think I think it's trying to update the trade stuff. Which this is really the cause of the lag, and we're running a ton of trade routes so that we have a lot of Diplo. We have 190 routes. If we had like 40 or 50 or something like this, the game would be cruising, but we have a lot with Italy, and specifically I think on a per construction basis, the consumer goods, after we dumped a bunch of other stuff, should be pretty good. So if we look at GDP ownership percentage, we're starting to come on up there. We have a lot of places, or we have a few places where we are the number one kind of econ in Italy, and we're looking to push these numbers up generally around 20%. We also added some infrastructure in the way of railways, which is going to make them benefit more from trade, and we have coming in right now military statistics in the next 7 to 14 days. After which we've already done enough research to get both trench and concrete dockyards, and so as soon as we research this, the week after we will get concrete dockyards, and we will be able to put in a bunch of additional ports in addition to using modern ports, which I think we're going to do because we currently aren't using really any oil, and so I think this will be a good sink for the oil. Really kind of strange how we've been having issues with this. Issues with the convoys and stuff, but we should be in pretty good shape once we get all that through, and right now we are trending towards a pretty decent -37, and I think once we get the trade routes in and a bunch of this stuff starts getting much more profitable here in Italy that we spammed out, this should be good for us, and so we'll start putting this in. We will have to swap over, I imagine, piecemeal on the naval bases, or sorry, on the ports rather than all at once. We will have to try and do it like this. Man, that's so much convoys and infrastructure. We're going to swap over that one, and then I think we're going to swap over Beijing. In theory, we should swap over places that are producing oil, but we don't have all the coastal places that produce oil memorized, so although there probably is one in Fars. I imagine Fars has oil. Yeah, Fars does have oil. Fars has quite a bit of oil, so we will be swapping some of these over, which should cause us a shortage. Oh, it doesn't even cause us a shortage. And it should give us a ton more convoys. Bueller, it did say plus 8k total, so this is plus 2.4k, and so it's an additional 400. Alright, well, we'll get several hundred more in as we try and maximize the route size here with Italy. Alright, after just a couple buildings completed, really it was just on this Monday tick, we went from -38 to plus 141, and I think a big part of this is off the back of we are now using like 9k instead of basically 0 on the trade routes in terms of the convoys, and so we are moving things along. Ooh, or that's it. That might be what happened. Huh, interesting. Well, alright, well, Okay. Well, alright. I think we're going to finally level up external trade at 2. The reason we were keeping it on level 2 for forever is because we actually didn't want our subjects running a bunch of trade routes, but now we kind of would like our subjects to run trade routes if it means stuff like trading opportunistically with Italy, increasing our share there. And we will also get to crank up on the next available mandate. And so this is going to be good. We're not necessarily going to be on external trade for a super long period of time after this. Also, what we are trying to do is, while this war is brewing, we can own a very much bigger share of their GDP, much more easily. You can see we're trending towards 214, so we're just putting in a whole bunch of construction. We're like, whatever building is profitable, we're just coming into each of these states. If a building is profitable or looks good, we're just copying it. We're just building more of it, because if some of the ownership shares are, you know, ours and some of them are theirs, then if we own half the buildings that are furniture manufacturers, disgusting PMs though. AI is really bad. If you build the initial building, they're really bad at upgrading the PMs, which kind of sucks. But hopefully we're able to get this while the war is in session. And to that end, we have this guy, and we have scrolled down, used formation settings, and we've turned off troop borrowing, so they won't be able to push. So hopefully this is a long, stally war versus the bourgeoisie revolt. We just want to make sure that the side that we've been courting wins. Alright, so it is time, and very timely indeed, because the revolt is about to go down, and once that happens, we won't have anywhere near the share of the economy in Italy. We are trending towards 319, but we're just going to pull the trigger here because we have an 88% chance, and so obviously we're going to get it with this big a chance. We will owe them, or we can't owe them an obligation, but we will pull them in with this 88% chance, and we will hopefully get them, and then once they say yes, because of course obviously they're going to say yes, we will actually, we've just been holding them hostage. Italy accepted our invitation, perfect. And now we will actually assign an army that will push and finish this out for them. But now that is Italy in the power block here. We don't have the full map, but they're going to annex that right away. And we have this episode gotten Occitania, Spain, and Italy into our block, utilizing this foreign investment doohickey, which has been pretty nice, actually. I think that we're going to obviously just slot this out for something else at the start of next episode. But for now, that'll be our episode. Just to kind of quickly go over a little bit of how things are going, I guess, in more macro sense. We have 1,300 or 13,000 prestige. The next person who's not our subject is 1,000, and then France with 700. And so Austria is probably not too long for being a GP anymore. And we are getting close to the point where we can start subjugating everyone. We're probably going to, when we go high infamy, start with Russia, or start with the British East India Company / Heavenly Kingdom. I think we annex Heavenly Kingdom, reduce autonomy on British East India Company, and then subjugate Russia kind of as the first 3 wars when we eventually do go high infamy. Maybe we're supposed to bust up the USA, I'm not exactly sure, but for now we're still clearing out the bottom rungs of the prestige ladder, which is going to raise the bar of what is required for these guys in order to be a major power, because for some of these guys, like the USA, we want to fight the USA exactly 3 times. We want to subjugate them, and then annex, and then reduce autonomy on them twice, and then annex them. So, and same thing with the Kingdom of France, so maybe we're cutting things a little bit close. To be fair, if we're going to fight France 3 times, actually I think we just take territories off them and just straight up annex them. But anyways, that'll be more of kind of what's going on next. GDP, we are, man, British East India Company has just absolutely been cranking and stanking. They're going to be so nice when we annex them. And same with Heavenly Kingdom. Our influence, they are really, really benefiting from our investment pool, is kind of my understanding. And once we annex them, once we incorporate them, that'll be really nice. Austria has actually been performing okay. USA has been playing a little bit of a catch-up. I guess Turkey's kind of doing okay-ish too. We invested in Turkey a lot early on. I think that's what this was maybe about. The Shogunate... This is them just entering our market, this type of thing. SOL, we're doing real good. Just a little behind Belgium, but we have 329 million pops, so there is a bit of that. We have more pops than China, and we are going to be looking to incorporate China. In fact, I think I know which thing we're going to slot in. which is that I don't think we have so much percentage of the world's pops already that migration might not even be that good anymore. I think we're going to slot in food standardization, which is going to increase our standard of living, decrease mortality, increase agricultural throughput, and this is going to be effective on our subjects as well, which include really high pop countries, and so this decreased mortality I think is going to play quite nicely. So we're going to slot this one in now that we have gotten Italy into our power block, and then I think what we're going to do is we're just going to show off real quick, and then not that one. Efficient canning practices is what we get, which is about 10% more efficient, but it's more efficient on groceries specifically, which overall is going to be something that we really like. And so the food industries will be much better, groceries will be much cheaper. And just to kind of give an idea of who's consuming the groceries, it is going to be mostly, we see that it's pretty across the board here. Wow, they're consuming about as much groceries as grain, even if we unpause and let the game think a little bit. Okay, well, fair enough. Grocery consumption is rather high, higher than normal. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. There are links down below. And other than that, have a good day.